You were never going to make it anyway. My name is Marcus. I am 28 years old, and I have spent my entire life being compared to my older sister, Vanessa. That sentence came from her 3 months ago, standing in our parents' living room with a glass of wine in her hand, like she owned the place. I did not respond. There was nothing to say. Mom and Dad sat on the couch looking uncomfortable, but they did not tell her to stop. They never did. Vanessa had always been the golden child. Straight A student, debate team captain, early acceptance to Harvard. She graduated with honors, landed a job at a major law firm in New York, married a successful businessman named Todd. Everything she touched turned to gold. I was the quiet one, the one who stayed home, went to community college, worked part-time at a bookstore while taking care of Mom when she got sick. I showed up every day, made meals, drove her to appointments, sat with her during chemo treatments. Vanessa visited twice in 2 years, but when Mom walked through the door after recovering, Dad's face lit up if Vanessa called. It was always that way. Still, I never held it against her. She was my sister. Mom's cancer went into remission last year. The doctor said it was a miracle. I had spent 18 months taking care of her, cooking special meals, researching treatments, staying up late when she could not sleep. Vanessa sent flowers once, called every few weeks to check in. Dad always put her on speakerphone so Mom could hear. She would talk about her cases, her trips to Europe, her perfect life in Manhattan. After Mom got better, things changed. Dad started talking about his will, about making sure everything was organized. He owned a successful printing business in Phoenix that he had built over 30 years. 3 locations, solid client base, steady income. He had always said I would take over someday. I had been working there part-time since high school, learned every part of the operation, handled accounts when he needed help. It was never official, but it was understood. Then Vanessa came home for Thanksgiving. She arrived in a rented Mercedes, wearing designer clothes, carrying expensive gifts. Todd could not make it, business in Tokyo, she said. Mom and Dad hugged her like she had returned from war. Dinner was uncomfortable. Vanessa dominated the conversation, talking about her firm, her salary, her apartment in Tribeca. She mentioned her new role, junior partner, youngest in the firm's history. Dad beamed with pride. "That's my girl," he said. I sat quietly, pushing food around my plate. When Mom asked about my work at the bookstore, Vanessa laughed. "You're still doing that? Marcus, you need to think bigger. You could go back to school, get a real career going." "I like my job," I said, "but you could do so much more. Look at what I've accomplished. You just need to apply yourself." Mom touched my hand under the table, but she did not say anything to Vanessa. She never did. After dinner, Dad asked to talk to both of us in his office. Vanessa followed him, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. I walked behind, feeling small. Dad sat at his desk, looking older than I remembered. He had papers spread out in front of him. "I've been thinking about the future," he said. "About the business, about what happens when I'm gone." Vanessa leaned forward. I noticed something in her expression. Sharp interest, calculation. "I want to make sure you're both taken care of." Dad continued. "The business has value. The properties have value. I need to decide how to divide things fairly." "Fairly means equally, right?" Vanessa said. 50-50. Dad hesitated. "Well, Marcus has been more involved in the business. He knows the operations, the clients." I was thinking. "But I'm still your daughter," Vanessa interrupted. "Just because I chose a different path doesn't mean I should be punished for being successful." I stared at her. Punished for being successful? She had abandoned us, left me to handle everything alone. "Nobody's punishing anyone," Dad said. "I just want to be fair to both of you." "Then split it equally," Vanessa said. "That's the only fair way." She looked at me then, and I saw it clearly. The challenge, the certainty that she would win. She always won. Dad nodded slowly. "I'll think about it." Vanessa smiled. "Thanks, Daddy." She left the office. I sat there feeling something cold settle in my chest. That night, I heard Vanessa on the phone in the guest room. The walls were thin. I could hear every word. "Mom, it's going perfectly," she said. Dad's considering splitting everything 50-50. I just need to stay a few more days. Keep reminding him that I'm still his daughter. Silence while she listened. Marcus. He won't fight it. He never fights for anything. He's too passive, too nice. This will be easy. More silence. I know I haven't been around much, but that doesn't matter now. What matters is securing my share. Half of that business is worth at least $2 million. I'm not walking away from that. I stood in the hallway, barely breathing. She had planned this. Come home specifically to manipulate Dad into changing his plans. I went back to my room and sat on the bed. My hands were shaking. Not with anger, with clarity. This was who she really was. This was who she had always been. The next morning, Vanessa extended her stay. Said she wanted to spend more time with family, reconnect with Dad. She started going to the print shop with him, asking questions about the business, acting interested. Dad loved it. Finally, both his children paying attention. I watched her work. She was good at this, asking the right questions, laughing at Dad's stories, making him feel important. She had always known how to perform. At dinner one night, she brought up the will again. "Have you decided how you want to structure things?" she asked. Dad set down his fork. "I'm still working through it with my lawyer. I just want to make sure Marcus and I are treated equally. That's important to me. Family should be fair." The way she said it made my stomach turn. She did not care about fairness. She cared about money. After she went back to New York, things got worse. She called Dad every other day. Always cheerful, always interested. She asked about his health, about Mom, about the business finances. She was building a case, creating a record of involvement. I could see what she was doing, but I did not know how to stop it. One afternoon, I found Dad in his office staring at legal documents. He looked tired. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Just complicated," he said, "trying to figure out the best way to do this." "Do what?" "The estate planning. Vanessa has some good points. Maybe equal division is the right approach." My throat tightened. "Dad, I've been here. Every day. Running deliveries, managing accounts, taking care of Mom when she was sick. Vanessa hasn't been part of this business in 10 years. He looked at me with sad eyes. "I know, son, but she's still my daughter. I can't just cut her out." "I'm not asking you to cut her out. I'm asking you to recognize who has actually been here." He did not respond. I left the office feeling like I was losing something I had earned. That night, I called my friend Alex. We had known each other since high school. He worked as a paralegal at a small law firm downtown. "My sister's trying to take half my dad's business," I told him, "even though I'm the one who has been running it with him." "Does your dad have a will?" "He's working on one, but Vanessa is in his ear constantly. I think she's convincing him to split everything equally." Alex was quiet for a moment. "You need documentation. Proof of your involvement, your contributions. If this goes to court someday, you need evidence." "Court? It won't go to court. Dad will decide, and that will be it." "Marcus, I've seen cases like this. Families fall apart over money. You need to protect yourself." I started keeping records. Every hour I worked at the print shop, every client I handled, every decision I made. I saved emails, kept schedules, documented everything. It felt wrong, like I was preparing for war with my own family. But Alex was right. I needed to protect myself. 3 months passed. Vanessa kept calling, kept visiting once a month. She brought Dad expensive gifts, a new watch, a leather briefcase, tickets to a basketball game. She was investing in her inheritance. I just kept working. Quiet, steady, reliable. The way I had always been. Then Dad had a health scare. Minor heart attack, nothing major, but it scared him. He spent 2 days in the hospital. I stayed with him the whole time. Vanessa flew in on the second day, stayed for 6 hours, then flew back for a big case. After he came home, Dad called both of us for another meeting. "I've made my decision," he said. "I'm splitting the business and assets equally between you two. Marcus, you'll continue to manage operations, but Vanessa will own half. When I'm gone, you'll be partners." Partners. with someone who had never cared about this business until there was money involved. Vanessa smiled. That's fair, Dad. Thank you. I did not say anything. What could I say? He had decided. It was done. After Vanessa left, I went home and sat in silence. Not crying, just processing. All those years of work, of showing up, of caring. It meant nothing compared to Vanessa's charm and manipulation. Alex came over that night with pizza and advice. This isn't over, he said. Your dad is still alive. Things can change. He already decided. Decisions can be unmade. You just need leverage. What kind of leverage? He pulled out his laptop. Start with this. Document every interaction your sister has with your dad. If she's manipulating him, we need proof. Also, I want you to talk to your dad's doctor. Why? Because if your dad wasn't thinking clearly when he made this decision, if he was medicated or stressed after his heart attack, that could matter later. It felt sneaky, underhanded, but Vanessa had been playing this game for months. Maybe it was time I learned the rules. I started paying closer attention. I noticed things I had missed before. Vanessa's calls to Dad always happened when I was not around. She would wait until I left for the bookstore, then call him. They would talk for an hour, sometimes longer. I asked Mom about it once. She just shrugged. Your sister is very persuasive, she said. She always has been. Doesn't it bother you that she only showed up after Dad started talking about his will? Mom looked uncomfortable. Marcus, don't make this about money. Family is more important than money. But it was about money. Vanessa had made it about money. I went back through Dad's phone records. He had given me access to the family account to help manage bills. The records showed something interesting. Vanessa had been calling Dad almost every day for the past 6 months, but before that, maybe once a month. The timing was too perfect. She had started her campaign the moment Dad mentioned estate planning. I made copies of everything, stored them in a folder on my laptop, backed them up to the cloud. Alex reviewed the documents one evening at my apartment. This is good, he said. It shows a clear pattern. Sudden increased contact right when inheritance became relevant. But is it enough? I asked. Maybe, but we need more. We need to show her intentions were purely financial. How do I prove that? Alex thought for a moment. Does she ever talk about the business in detail? Does she actually know anything about how it operates? No. She asks Dad questions, but it's all surface level. She doesn't know the clients, the systems, how anything actually works. Then we need to expose that. If this ever goes to mediation or court, we need to show that she has no real connection to the business beyond wanting money. Over the next few weeks, I started asking Vanessa questions when she called. Simple things about operations, about clients, about the printing equipment. She fumbled every time. Made up answers that did not make sense. She had no idea how the business actually ran. I recorded some of the conversations with her permission, saying I wanted to keep records for when we became partners. She agreed easily, not realizing what she was admitting. One recording was especially damning. She said, "Honestly, Marcus, I don't need to know the details. That's what you're for. I'll handle the financial side. Make sure we're maximizing profit." She saw the business as an ATM. Nothing more. I showed everything to Alex. He looked impressed. "This is really good work. You're building a solid case." For what? Dad already decided. Unless I plan to sue my own family, this doesn't matter. It matters because things change. Your dad could change his mind. Or Vanessa could push too far and reveal herself. You need to be ready. I did not know what being ready meant, but I kept documenting, kept watching, kept playing the quiet card while Vanessa thought she had already won. Then Dad's lawyer called me. His name was Patrick. He had handled Dad's business matters for 20 years. "Marcus, can we talk?" he asked. "Off the record?" We met at a coffee shop near the print shop. Patrick looked worried. "Your father came to see me last week," he said. "He wants to finalize his will. Everything split equally between you and Vanessa." "I know. But here's the thing. I asked him detailed questions about Vanessa's involvement in the business. He couldn't answer most of them. He kept saying she's interested now, that she's coming around. She's not coming around. She's positioning herself. Patrick nodded. I know. I've been doing this long enough to recognize it. Can you do anything? I asked. Not really. It is his decision. But I can slow things down. Ask more questions. Make sure he is really certain. Would that help? It might. Or it might just delay the inevitable. He paused. Marcus, your father loves both of you. But I think he feels guilty about Vanessa. Guilty that she left. That she chose a different life. He is trying to make up for it by giving her half of everything. That's not fair. No, it's not. But fair and legal are two different things. I left the coffee shop, feeling hopeless. Even Dad's own lawyer could see what was happening, but he was powerless to stop it. 2 weeks later, Vanessa came home again. This time she stayed for 5 days. She spent most of the time with Dad, going through business records, asking about property values, talking about future plans. She barely acknowledged me. I was just the person who would run things while she collected checks. On her last night, we had dinner together, just the two of us. Mom and Dad had gone to a friend's house. Vanessa poured herself wine from Dad's cabinet. This is going to work out great for both of us, she said. You get to keep doing what you love, and I get financial security. Win-win. I looked at her, really looked at her. She believed what she was saying. She had convinced herself she deserved this. Do you even care about the business? I asked. Of course I do. It's Dad's legacy. You don't know anything about it. You couldn't name 3 of our major clients if I asked you right now. She laughed. That's not the point. The point is it's valuable, and it should be shared equally. I'm his daughter, too. Being his daughter doesn't mean you've earned half of something you never worked for. Her expression hardened. Is that what this is about? You think you're better than me because you stayed home. You think you deserve more because you didn't have the ambition to leave. I stayed because someone had to. Someone had to take care of Mom. Someone had to help Dad keep the business running. You left and never looked back. I built a career. I made something of myself. You can't punish me for being successful. There it was again, that word, punish, like she was the victim. I'm not punishing you, I said quietly. I'm just asking for what I earned. She finished her wine. Well, Dad disagrees. He thinks equal is fair, and that is all that matters. After she left, I sat in the kitchen for an hour. My phone buzzed. Text from Alex. How did it go? Terrible. She's completely convinced she deserves this. Then we moved to the next phase. Time to talk to your dad. The next morning, I asked Dad if we could have a private conversation. We went to his office at the print shop. It was early, before any employees arrived. Dad, I need to be honest with you, I said. I don't think splitting everything equally is fair. He sighed. Marcus, we've talked about this. No, we haven't. Not really. You decided, and I stayed quiet. But I can't stay quiet anymore. I pulled out my phone, opened my notes app. I had prepared for this. For the last 10 years, I have worked at this business. Part-time at first, then full-time after community college. I know every client, every supplier, every piece of equipment. I have managed accounts, handled deliveries, solved problems. When you had your heart attack, I kept everything running without missing a beat. Dad started to speak, but I continued. Vanessa has been to this shop maybe 5 times in 10 years. She doesn't know how we operate. She can't name our top clients. She doesn't understand the industry. The only reason she's interested now is because you mentioned your will. That's not fair to your sister, Dad said. It's the truth. Call her right now. Ask her to name our 3 biggest clients. Ask her what printing equipment we use. Ask her anything about this business. Dad looked uncomfortable. She's been asking questions. She's learning. She's performing. There's a difference. I pulled up the call logs on my tablet. Look at this. Before you mentioned estate planning 6 months ago, she called you once a month. After you mentioned it, she started calling almost every day. Does that seem genuine to you? He stared at the numbers. I could see doubt creeping into his expression. I have more, I said. I showed him the recordings of Vanessa admitting she did not need to know operational details, that she just wanted to maximize profit. I'm not trying to turn you against her, I said. I'm trying to show you the truth. She doesn't care about your legacy. She cares about money. Dad sat back in his chair. He looked old, tired, conflicted. What do you want me to do? He asked. I want you to recognize who has actually been here, who has actually earned the right to carry on what you built. He did not answer right away. Finally, he said, I need to think about this. That night, Vanessa called me. Her voice was sharp. What did you say to Dad? I told him the truth. You told him lies. You're trying to turn him against me. I showed him evidence. Call logs, recordings. Facts, not lies. You recorded me? That's insane. That's manipulative. You gave me permission. Every conversation starts with me saying I'm keeping records. Silence. She had forgotten about that. You're making a huge mistake, she said. Dad isn't going to choose you over me. I'm his daughter, too. Then prove it. Tell me the names of 3 major clients. Tell me what equipment we use. Tell me anything about the business that shows you actually care. More silence. That's what I thought, I said and hung up. 2 days later, Patrick called me. Your father came back to my office, he said. He wants to make some changes to the will. My heart raced. What kind of changes? He didn't finalize anything, but he asked questions about setting up different terms, specifically about creating conditions for inheritance. What does that mean? It means he could require Vanessa to actually work in the business for a certain period before inheriting her share, or he could give you controlling interest while she gets financial compensation. Would she agree to that? Probably not, but it doesn't matter if she agrees. It is his will. He decides. I felt hope for the first time in months. Maybe Dad was finally seeing the truth, but I was wrong about how Vanessa would react. 3 days later, she showed up at the house unannounced. Dad was at the shop. Mom let her in. She found me in my room, organizing files for the business. We need to talk, she said. About what? About you sabotaging me. I stood up. I didn't sabotage you. I told the truth. You manipulated Dad with your recordings and your fake evidence. You're making me look bad. You're making yourself look bad. I just documented it. She stepped closer. Her face was red, her voice rising. You've always been jealous of me. Always resentful that I got out, that I made something of myself. Now you're trying to punish me by stealing my inheritance. Your inheritance? You didn't earn it. You showed up when it was convenient and expected half of everything. I'm his daughter. That's enough. No, I said quietly. It's not. She stared at me. For the first time, I saw something other than confidence in her eyes. I saw fear. If you keep pushing this, you'll regret it, she said. Is that a threat? It's a warning. I have lawyers. Good ones. If Dad tries to cut me out, I'll fight it. I'll tie up this estate in court for years. Neither of us will see a penny. Then do it, because I'm done being quiet. She left, slamming the door behind her. That night, Dad came home looking shaken. Vanessa had called him, crying, claiming I was trying to destroy the family. She had played the victim perfectly. Dad sat me down. This has to stop. You two are siblings. She threatened to sue if she doesn't get her way. She's upset. People say things when they're upset. Dad, she's manipulating you. She always has been, and you keep letting her do it because you feel guilty. He looked at me with wounded eyes. Guilty about what? About her leaving. About her choosing a different life. You think giving her half of everything will make up for the distance between you. But it won't. She'll take the money and disappear again. He did not respond, but I could see the truth settling on him. The next week was tense. Vanessa kept calling, kept pushing. Dad kept avoiding decisions. Then something unexpected happened. Mom asked to talk to me. We sat in the backyard, just the two of us. Your father is torn apart by this, she said. I know. Vanessa is his daughter. You're his son. He loves you both. But love isn't enough, Mom. This is about fairness. About recognizing effort and commitment. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that surprised me. You're right. I looked at her. You're right, she repeated. I've watched you sacrifice for this family. You put your life on hold to take care of me. You worked alongside your father when Vanessa couldn't be bothered to visit, and now she wants half of everything without earning it. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm going to talk to your father. I'm going to tell him what I think, and I think he needs to recognize the child who stayed. I felt relief wash over me. Thank you. She hugged me. You've always been the strong one, Marcus, even when you pretended to be quiet. Mom talked to Dad that night. I didn't hear the conversation, but the next morning, Dad seemed different, resolved. He called Patrick and scheduled a meeting for the following week. Vanessa somehow found out. She flew home immediately, tried to change his mind, but something had shifted. Dad was tired of the manipulation, tired of the drama. The meeting at Patrick's office was tense. Dad, Mom, Vanessa, and me, all sitting around a conference table. Patrick laid out the new will. 60% of the business to me. 40% financial value to Vanessa. She would receive the equivalent in other assets, but not ownership of the company. Vanessa stood up. This is unacceptable. Sit down, Dad said quietly. His tone stopped her. She sat. I've thought about this carefully, Dad said. Marcus has earned the right to run this business. He's been here, learning, working, caring. You chose a different path. That's fine. But you don't get to swoop in at the end and demand equal ownership of something you never built. I'm your daughter, Vanessa said, her voice breaking, and you'll be compensated fairly. Patrick has calculated the value. You'll receive your share in properties and investments, but the business goes to Marcus. Vanessa looked at me with pure hatred. This is because of you. You poisoned him against me. No, Dad said. This is because I finally saw the truth. Vanessa grabbed her purse and left. We heard her car screech out of the parking lot. Patrick prepared the documents. Dad signed them. It was done. I sat there feeling strange. Not victorious, just exhausted. Mom squeezed my hand. You did the right thing. Did I? Vanessa hates me now. She'll get over it. Or she won't. But you protected what you earned. Over the next few months, Vanessa cut off contact with all of us. She refused to take Dad's calls, blocked me on social media, sent all communications through her lawyer. The estate was settled according to Dad's wishes. I received the business. Vanessa received 2 rental properties and a significant investment account. Not equal in her eyes, but fair by any objective measure. She never apologized, never acknowledged her manipulation. In her mind, she was the victim. Dad struggled with the rift. He had hoped Vanessa would eventually understand, but she never did. She moved on with her life, pretending we didn't exist. I threw myself into the business, expanded to a 4th location, hired new staff, modernized our equipment. Everything Dad had dreamed about, but never had time to accomplish. Patrick helped me set up proper legal protections, documents that ensured the business would stay intact, that protected it from future challenges. Vanessa can't touch this now, he said. It's yours. You earned it. One afternoon, about a year after the will was finalized, I got a call from a New York number I didn't recognize. It was Todd, Vanessa's husband. Marcus, I need to tell you something. Okay, Vanessa and I are getting divorced. I didn't know what to say. She's been impossible to live with since this whole thing with your dad. Bitter, angry. She blamed everyone but herself. I couldn't do it anymore. I'm sorry. Don't be. I called because I wanted you to know the truth. She had been planning to take that business inheritance and invest it in her own firm. She was going to quit her job, start competing with her current employer. It was all about money for her, about ego. After Todd hung up, I sat in Dad's office, my office now, and thought about everything that had happened. Vanessa had lost her marriage, lost her relationship with our family. lost the respect of people who knew the truth, all because she couldn't stand to let someone else succeed quietly. I hadn't destroyed her. She had destroyed herself. The business kept growing. Dad's health improved. He came to the shop a few times a week, offering advice, telling old stories to new employees. He seemed lighter, less burdened. One day he pulled me aside. "I'm proud of you," he said, "for standing up for yourself, for fighting for what you earned." I didn't fight. I just stopped being quiet. He smiled. "Sometimes that's the same thing." Mom got involved in the business, too. She started handling some of the administrative work, organizing community events, building relationships with local charities. The print shop became a family business again, just a different family configuration. Vanessa sent one email about 2 years after everything settled. It was short. "I hope you're happy with what you took from me." I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. She still didn't understand that you can't take what was never yours. I heard through distant relatives that Vanessa eventually started her own consulting business in Boston. She was making decent money, had a new boyfriend, seemed to be rebuilding her life. I didn't reach out. Neither did she. Some rifts are too deep to repair. The print shop thrived. I hired veterans and gave them solid jobs. I created apprenticeship programs for young people interested in the trade. I built something Dad would be proud of, not just a business, but a legacy. Sometimes late at night, I would walk through the shop after everyone had gone home. I would touch the equipment, look at the orders stacked for the next day, feel the weight of responsibility and satisfaction. Vanessa had tried to steal my spotlight, tried to take credit for work she never did. She had played the game loud and aggressive, thinking volume meant victory. But I had played differently. Quiet, patient, strategic. I documented the truth, built my case, and waited for the right moment. In the end, the quiet card beat the spotlight every time. Because real success isn't about who shines brightest. It's about who shows up, who does the work, who earns what they claim. I had done all three, and I had won, not by being louder than Vanessa, but by being truer than her performance ever could be. Some battles aren't won with noise. Some battles are won with truth. And truth, even when spoken quietly, always finds a way to be heard.